Gaal Dornick. It has been more than 300 years. You are looking well.
What happens when the most powerful mind in the galaxy stops protecting the Empire? In Episode 5 of Foundation, Demerzel makes two moves that change the entire game. She lets Brother Day slip away without a fight, and then appears face-to-face with Gaal Dornick. For anyone who's been watching her play the long game this season, you know this isn't random. This is a shift in priorities, and it could be the start of something even bigger than the fall of the dynasty. Demerzel finally lets Day go. When Demerzel examined First Claviger Mavan's body, she understood exactly what had happened. Brother Day had transferred his nanites into his officer, killing him in the process, and slipped away. But she knows exactly where Brother Day is headed, and she even knows what he's taking with him. The relic Cleon I once took from Mycogen, which he now intends to use as a peace offering to the very people it was taken from. In past seasons, this would have triggered an immediate surgical response. Ships would have been dispatched, resources would have been mobilized, and Brother Day would be brought back under her control. But this time, she chose not to pursue him. Some people might see this as indecision, but in reality, it's a calculated pass. For centuries, her core directive has been to safeguard the Cleonic dynasty, down to each individual ruler. Every loss was a threat to the system she's been forced to protect. So letting Day vanish is monumental because it marks a huge shift. It's the first time we've seen her treat one of the emperors as expendable. And here's the thing. Brother Day hasn't just lost her protection. He's lost her interest. And that's even more dangerous. We all know Demerzel is ruthless when she decides someone is a liability. And she doesn't waste effort on pieces she's already taken off her board. We've seen her wipe people's memories when they became a threat. And we've seen her kill on a massive scale, like when she confessed to orchestrating the Starbridge bombing, an attack that cost millions of lives, because she calculated it was the only way to secure the Empire's future. This tells us her definition of protecting the dynasty might be evolving, or worse, breaking down completely. But one thing that's very clear in all this is the subtext. Because if she's willing to let one emperor slip away without a second thought, then the dynasty's survival is no longer her highest priority. And if that's true, then who, or what, is she protecting now? My Cleons are scattered, and that's fine. After letting Day go, Demerzel's attention turned to the wider picture, which is the state of the dynasty itself. She acknowledged that the Cleons were scattered, spread thin across the galaxy, but there was no panic in her voice, and no urgency either. Even when the general said if she wanted them to pursue, she simply said no. But the weird thing here is, for someone who has spent centuries making sure the Empire's ruling line remained stable, this calm is almost disturbing. Now mind you, earlier in the series, a fractured dynasty would have been treated as a ticking bomb. Demerzel would have moved quickly to consolidate power, to pull each Cleon back into the safety of the throne. Now, she's letting them drift. This makes this move look less like neglect and more like intent. Another thing to take note is the way she phrases it. It feels like someone taking inventory before deciding what to keep and what to discard. She's not scrambling to hold the dynasty together because maybe, in her eyes, it's not worth holding together anymore. And if you know her history, this is a big red flag. Demerzel has been programmed to protect the Cleons above all else. But there's another side to her, the part that once operated under the Zeroth Law, prioritizing the survival of humanity over any individual human or faction. And that's where this gets interesting. If she's reverting to that broader perspective, then the Cleons are no longer sacred. They're just one more piece of the puzzle. A piece she might willingly sacrifice if it serves the larger goal. Now, whether that goal is humanity's survival, her own long-term freedom, or something entirely different, that's the real question. The ship no one expected her on. The final moments of Episode 5 ripped the focus away from the Cleons entirely. Gaal Dornick, still reeling from a tense and personal clash with Brother Dawn, notices an unauthorized entry on her ship. She's unsettled, maybe even on edge, but what she finds is far more shocking than a stowaway. It's Demerzel, a figure she hasn't seen in over 300 years. This isn't any coincidence, because Demerzel doesn't wander into situations without a reason. And mind you, when the soldier offered to bring them home, Demerzel made it clear that when it came to Brother Dawn, she would deal with him herself. So for her to personally board Gaal's vessel at this specific moment tells us that her priorities have shifted completely. Day is gone, the dynasty is fractured, and she's not rushing to repair it. Instead, she's investing her attention in Gaal, a move that sends a very deliberate message. But what does she really want from Gaal? The possibilities are dangerous, but let's start with the least of them. She might simply be here for Brother Dawn. But if that's the case, she's a little late, because by the time she arrives, Dawn is already gone, somewhere out in space. Or she might be here to draw Gaal into her orbit by steering her away from the mule's influence and to remove her from play entirely. But then there's Gaal herself. She's one of the most gifted mentalics alive, capable of sensing and influencing emotions. Even though robots are immune to mentalic control, Demerzel might still see enormous value in aligning with someone who can sway the galaxy's most powerful players. And given that both women have been forced into roles they didn't choose, one by programming and another by destiny, this meeting might not be a confrontation at all, but the start of an alliance. Whichever way this goes in the next episode, one thing's certain. When Demerzel enters someone's world, she leaves it changed. Right now, Gaal just became part of her plan, and whatever that plan is, it won't be small. The real game Demerzel is playing. Let's look at these two moves side by side. Letting Day walk away and stepping aboard Gaal's ship might seem like isolated choices, but they're not. They're connected pieces of a bigger strategy, one that's starting to reveal itself. By refusing to pursue Day, Demerzel removed a volatile and unpredictable piece from the board without having to lift a finger. And we can all agree that Brother Day had already been acting out, openly challenging her authority, and simmering with resentment, especially over what he believed she did to Song, and over what Cleon I did to the people of Mycogen to retrieve those relics. Even when he was physically present, he wasn't contributing to the stability of the dynasty, and bringing him back would only invite more rebellion and resistance. So now that he's taken himself out of the equation, it's almost a relief. Which is why she can say, without hesitation, that she knows where he's gone, they won't see him again, and he won't trouble them. Then let's switch to Gaal, because by approaching Gaal, she's either adding a new piece to that board or flipping one of her potential enemies into an asset. And that's not reactive behavior. In fact, that's calculated repositioning. But here's the part that should make everyone nervous. Demerzel's loyalty is her most dangerous weapon, because it's not truly her choice. For centuries, it's been locked to the Empire, forcing her to act in ways she might not choose for herself. But this season keeps hinting at cracks in that programming, or at least cracks in how she interprets it. Because if she can justify letting a Cleon vanish and prioritize a meeting with Gaal instead, then her definition of protecting the dynasty is becoming dangerously flexible. And that means she might already be playing a game beyond the Empire. A game where the dynasty is just one faction among many, and not the center of the galaxy. So if that's the case, then her endgame might not involve saving the Cleons at all. It might be about surviving whatever's coming, whether that's the Mule's rise, the collapse of the Empire, or something even bigger we haven't seen yet. And that makes you wonder whether Demerzel is still loyal to the throne, and if the throne is even relevant in the game she's playing now. But who do you think Demerzel serves now? Also, is Gaal her next pawn, her partner, or her obstacle? And if the Cleons are no longer her priority, what or who is? Let me know what you think her real plan is in the comments. And if you like this, you can also check out our other Foundation videos right now. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.